In a world just overflowing with information, complex challenges, seemingly endless to-do lists, finding clarity, finding a path forward, well, that can feel like a genuine superpower sometimes.
It really can.
So today we're going to dive into just one word, a deceptively simple word, actually, that holds a surprising amount of power to give you exactly that. And that word is tractable.
Tractable. That sounds a bit academic, maybe?
Maybe, but our mission for this deep dive is to really unpack what tractable means, explore its pretty fascinating origins, and most importantly, show you why understanding this concept can be incredibly useful. When we talk about tractable, what does it actually mean? Like fundamentally?
Well, Merriam-Webster gives us two main definitions to lay the groundwork. The first one is pretty straightforward. Capable of being easily led, taught, or controlled. Docile.
Ah, okay. Like their examples, a tractable horse or
Right.
He's a very tractable child. You can sort of picture that immediately, can't you? Easy to guide.
Exactly. Easy to guide, easy to manage. But then the second core definition pushes it into a more abstract, but I think equally vital territory.
Which is?
Easily handled, managed, or wrought. Malleable. And the example they give here is really relevant for us today. This new approach should make the problem more tractable.
Ah, okay, so less about literal leading, more about the nature of the thing itself being manageable.
Precisely. And what's really fascinating here is how its history, its etymology, kind of reveals its very essence. It hints at why it's so useful for us.
Oh, yeah. Where does it come from?
Well, tractable comes to us from Latin, from the adjective tractabilis.
Tractabilis, okay.
And this Latin word, tractabilis, in turn, it comes from the verb tractere. Now, tractere had a range of meanings, including to drag about, to handle, to deal with, and to treat.
Huh. Okay, so already you've got this built-in sense of being able to be like manipulated or engaged with or worked on. You can almost picture someone trying to handle something.
You really can. And to go even deeper, tractere itself is what's called a frequentative form of another Latin verb, trahere.
A frequentative? What's that?
It's a verb form that indicates a repeated or continuous action. Think of sniff versus sniffle. Sniffle means to sniff repeatedly, right?
Got it, okay.
Yeah. So trahere means to drag or pull. If tractere is the frequentative, it implies repeatedly or continuously pulling, handling, dealing with something.
Ah, so if you can keep handling something easily.
Exactly. If you can repeatedly, consistently, and easily pull, handle, or deal with something like, imagine a helpful draft animal you're working with, you naturally call that animal tractable. It's that consistent ease of handling, the ability to work with it.
That makes perfect sense. That really brings the word to life.
Yeah, and just a quick aside, the word tractor sounds similar, also comes from trahere, to pull,
right?
But it didn't go through tractere. It's a more direct line from trahere, so related, but a slightly different path.
That's a great little detail. And the first known use in English was, what, 1502?
Yeah, 1502, so it's been part of the language for a long time.
Wow. Okay, so that's the history lesson, which is actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
But what does all this, the roots, the core definitions, what does it really mean for you, the listener, beyond just fun word facts?
It means understanding the nuance, I think, and that's where the practical power really lies. Merriam-Webster has this great choose the right synonyms section, which is super helpful here.
Ah, comparing it to similar words.
Exactly. So words like obedient, docile, amenable, they're often used in similar ways, but tractable has its own distinct flavor.
How so?
Well, obedient implies you're complying with authority, like obedient to the government. It's about following rules or commands.
Okay.
Docile suggests more of a natural predisposition, like a readiness to submit to control or guidance. Think a docile child. It's about a calm, cooperative nature.
Right, sort of inherent temperament.
Yes, but tractable.
Yeah.
It specifically suggests having a character that permits easy handling or managing, like tractable animals. It's about the ease of interaction.
Okay, less about submission, more about workability.
Kind of, yeah. And then amenable implies a willingness to yield or cooperate, maybe because someone wants to be agreeable or they're naturally open-minded, like being amenable to new ideas.
So tractable is really focused on that inherent quality that makes something manageable.
That's the key distinction, I think. It points to an inherent characteristic that makes something workable, handleable, rather than just its willingness to comply or be nice about it. It implies a fundamental capacity for progress or change.
That distinction feels really important. It's not just about compliance. It's about the thing itself allowing you to work with it, to shape it. And you can see how that scales, right? From managing a horse to managing, like, complex ideas or problems.
Absolutely. Which brings us to the next point. Tractable isn't just about horses and children, or even just general manageability. This is where it gets really interesting, because the word takes on specific, powerful meanings in different fields.
Right, it expands beyond that basic definition.
It really does. If you glance at Wikipedia's disambiguation page for tractable, you see it pop up in some pretty serious contexts, like in computational complexity theory.
Okay, sounds heavy. What does it mean there?
There, a tractable problem is defined as one that can be solved in polynomial time.
Polynomial time. Can you break that down a bit?
Sure, think of it like this. If a problem is polynomial time, the amount of computational effort needed to solve it grows relatively slowly as the problem gets bigger. So maybe if you double the size of the problem, the time it takes the computer to solve it only, say, quadruples or goes up by a power of 8. It grows, but predictably, manageably.
Okay, so it doesn't suddenly become impossible just because it got a bit bigger?
Exactly. Compare that to an intractable problem in computing. There, the effort might explode exponentially. Doubling the problem size could make it take, a million times longer to solve. It quickly becomes practically impossible even for supercomputers.
Gotcha. So tractable in computing means it's actually feasible to solve within reasonable limits, not just theoretically possible.
Precisely. It's about practical computability. And the concept also shows up in pure mathematics.
How does it work there?
In math, tractable often refers to the ease of getting a solution, specifically finding something called a closed-form expression.
Closed-form expression.
Yeah, imagine you're solving an equation. A closed-form expression means you can write down a neat, finite formula for the answer using standard stuff, addition, multiplication, powers, roots, logarithms, that sort of thing. You get a clean, direct solution you can actually calculate.
Ah, so not like an answer that goes on forever or needs infinite steps.
Exactly. For mathematically intractable problems, you might only be able to get approximations, or the solution might involve an endless series of calculations. So tractable here implies elegance, directness, a definitive answer you can reach without infinite effort.
That makes a lot of sense. Elegance and solvability. Not every problem, no matter how cleverly you break it down or what tools you use, can be made perfectly tractable, can it? Sometimes you hit a wall.
That is the honest truth, and it's a crucial point. Sometimes you have to recognize the limits. While we strive to make problems tractable, we have to acknowledge that some issues are just incredibly complex, deeply resistant to conventional approaches, or maybe the resources required are just astronomical, far beyond what's available.
So what do you do then? Just give up?
Not necessarily give up, but maybe shift focus. The key is recognizing the limits of tractability. It means accepting that, perhaps with current knowledge or tools, a full solution isn't feasible. In those cases, the smart move might be to pivot. Focus on more promising aspects of the problem, or smaller related issues where you can make progress, or simply prioritize your limited resources on battles you can win right now.
Strategic retreat, almost.
Yeah.
Or strategic focus, maybe.
Strategic focus is a good way to put it. It's about smart resource allocation, not banging your head against an immovable object indefinitely. Knowing when to pivot is a really important skill.
Okay, so recognizing limits. What else helps when facing something truly daunting?
Secondly, it's about embracing uncertainty and ambiguity. Let's face it, many really tough challenges involve a high degree of unpredictability. You don't have all the information, the future is fuzzy. Trying to force a rigid, linear solution onto that kind of messy reality often fails.
Yeah, the real world is rarely neat and tidy.
Exactly. So you need creative thinking, maybe unconventional approaches. You need to stay open to new ideas, different perspectives, be willing to adapt as you learn more. It's about navigating the fog, step by step, rather than demanding a perfectly clear map from the outset.
Being comfortable with not having all the answers up front.
Right. And finally, underpinning all of this is developing resilience and adaptability. You need that flexibility, that growth mindset we talked about. This helps you approach problems with focus and determination, sure, but also with creativity, especially when you hit those inevitable setbacks or surprises. It's about building your internal capacity to keep going, to learn from failures, and to keep chipping away, even if a complete solution isn't immediately in sight.
Wow. Okay. What an incredible journey we've taken with just this one word, tractable. We went from its basic dictionary definition and its surprisingly physical Latin roots.
Right, that pulling and handling.
Yeah. Then explored its specialized meanings in computing and math, and really discovered how it's this fundamental, really vital concept in effective problem solving. We looked at strategies, real-world examples.
And the importance of knowing the limits, too.
Exactly. It feels like understanding this word tractable isn't just about adding to your vocabulary. It's like gaining a new, powerful lens to view complexity, to view challenges, whether it's information overload or a tough task you're facing. It really is a mindset shift.
That really is the core takeaway, I think.
Right.
The next time you encounter a problem, any problem, that just feels overwhelming, too big, too confusing.
Yeah.
Just pause for a second. Ask yourself, okay, how can I make this more tractable?
Just asking that question changes things.
It does. By actively looking for ways to break it down, maybe apply some smart strategies, get others involved through collaboration, you might just transform that daunting task into something that feels achievable. At the very least, you'll feel more in control, more empowered to act.
That's a fantastic thought to leave everyone with. Keep asking those questions. Keep exploring how to make things tractable in your own world. Thanks for digging into this with me.
My pleasure. It's a really useful concept.
Absolutely. And thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you on the next one.